Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today we have another very special video with some crazy stuff to talk about. But first, make sure you press the like button and subscribe, and of course, put something in the comment section down below, because if we hit 500 likes within 24 hours, we're giving away 75 XRP. And if you want to win that, all you have to do is press the like button, be subscribed, and comment something down below. That is it. All right, having said that, also make sure you check out the Growth Masters Academy, and let's get into our first article. And that one comes from Chile, or Chile, I don't know how you say it in English. Chile's CMF now working with Central Bank on crypto regulations. This is a very important article. Why? Well, we've actually seen over the last couple of weeks, especially on this channel here, that central banks and central governments, or maybe just governments in general, have really been changing their attitude quite drastically. We're seeing that in taxes, just regulation, and also just mentions in traditional media. And I have a couple of other articles here talking exactly about this. I mean, look at this. Belarus' largest bank, Belarus Bank, is launching crypto exchange service. That's a very key example of some very heavy adoption from, I guess, the state level, very high level. The state has a 99.5% share in the bank, and the latest move is in line with its digital transformation program. Once more, they're changing, all right? They're working on this. They try. Now, why is this, you may be asking? Why now? We've seen a growing concern for regulation. We've seen a growing concern for, I guess, a just an easy, I don't want to say level playing field like Ripple says, but I want to say an easy way to make sure people understand what they are worth or what they're up against and stuff like that. I mean, if you don't have a clear rule book, innovation is being stagnated or being held back. Why? Because they don't know what they can and cannot do. But on a different end, you're also going to miss some taxes if you don't have it, or you're going to miss some profits like Belarus here if you don't have your own exchange. And I think that the more that time goes on here, the more central banks or central governments will actually open exchanges that, I guess, just make them money. I don't know. I don't really know exactly how they're going to be doing it, but they'll be focused on crypto as well eventually. Why? Well, CBDCs are getting bigger and bigger, and they want some sort of way to control it. And I don't know exactly how CBDCs are going to be traded just quite yet. Like, will everybody have that authority, or only some central entities to exchange it? We'll see about that one, but I think governments will want to also take a little bit of a role in that and take some of those profits, but I guess that is still to be seen. Now, this one was actually very important, and I didn't give it enough credit just now. Why it's so important is because it's not like PayPal does not want to list XRP, right? And there's a couple of other crypto that they would most likely want to list, but they just cannot do that yet. And I mean, we saw that they now gave access to about 300 million people, or at least the other way around, they give 300 million people access to crypto, yet only a couple of ones, right? Only a couple of coins. Why? Well, as we've seen before, they just cannot do it yet. They cannot because the legal framework is not there. And they don't want to be the guys that get called out for this type of stuff. So they want to take a chill, wait it out, and then roll it out once they are secure, which is not a crazy bet, all right? I'm not going to blame them for doing such a thing. If it were to be my company, I would most likely take the same approach where, well, even though Ripple is a multi-billion-dollar company, a $10 billion company, and them scamming is going to be a way bigger scandal than you supporting the coin or allowing it to be exchanged, it's still something you got to kind of consider, right? And especially if you have your doubts, or if you're like, well, but why is this bank not using it? Or why is that bank? That you're waiting out for something concrete from the SEC, I can understand. All right, so I'm not blaming them, but it's also important to know that they do want to list them, but they just cannot do it yet, which is coming though. We've been seeing it pretty heavily here. Then some fun talks about Movin, by the way. They're looking for an IT support specialist over in Singapore. It's actually pretty fun if you look at all the jobs Ripple is listing here. It's actually pretty damn crazy what type of power they are looking for, and I actually have not really seen that many greenhouse boards. But I find it quite a lot of managers and stuff, and just heavy engineers that they're looking for. Directors, specialists, and stuff like that. They're looking for a lot of people. a lot of them, really. I was kind of confused with that. I don't really know how many job listings these bigger companies have open all the time. Because, I mean, if you consider that they are a $10 billion company, yeah, you might actually say they don't really have that many employees. Yeah, I can kind of get that. On the contrary, it's a lot of people they're looking for, right? Don't you guys agree with me on that one? I think so. Ripple CEO laments lack of even playing field in the United States. Again, it's Ripple bringing up, again, our point of interest and our discrepancy between what the regulators want and what we want, I would say, because the regulators, they want to have it clear, but rule as much out as they can to not have confusion and not have trouble, right? And Ripple, of course, wants it as fast as possible and just an easy, clean one. So there's some discrepancy there because they both want different things. You can kind of argue that the SEC wants the best one. I don't really think so. I think they just want to stall to make sure they just don't do anything wrong or too rational or irrational, I mean, and something stupid eventually because, well, making one rule is pretty simple, but adjusting that rule can be very, very hard for people, right? If all of a sudden Bitcoin were now to be banned and later they're like, well, yeah, we'll allow it, that's a pretty heavy thing, right? Or maybe the other way around. If it were to be allowed right now, and then after a little while, they're like, yep, no, that was not good. It's going to be banned. It's way heavier than if they were to just ban it, I guess, kind of right now, right? Because if they give the go-ahead, companies are going to invest billions of dollars, go completely heavy because they're like, well, we have the clarity, we can go. All their money, all their funds are invested, and then like, oh, no, we made a mistake. You know, your investment, no, that's it's not our problem. It was just a mistake. Moving further, Plan B, birth of Bitcoin Phase 5 in real time. Red dots will turn orange. Willy Woo believes another main bull run has begun. And I've actually found a lot of these articles online right now, especially within the last, I think, like 2 days, maybe 3 days. We've been finding a lot of these articles that talk exactly about this subject. Crypto bull market about to accelerate. 2017 about to become a replay of 2017, or 2021 about to become of 2017. The idea behind this is that what we saw in 2017 is going to be replicated just now, and there are a lot of people who think that. A lot of people who think the bull run has started and really now everything is going to go bloomy, bloomy, bloomy. And I don't want to be the guy to turn it down, all right? What I do know, though, is that XRP actually did quite significantly good against Bitcoin. If you actually consider that for a little second, they did pretty damn nice, all right? Against Bitcoin here, it may not look like it, but if you look at where XRP is right now at 26.7, it's doing pretty okay, all right? It's doing pretty damn good. On a side note, though, again, I'm also quite convinced that we're only going up, and we'll actually continue that wave. And I don't have TradingView open right now, but if you take a look at March till now, if you only look at from March till now, if you take a closer look at this, let's get that zoomed in. If I can, oh, how did I do that? Let's just take it from here to the, oh my, guys, this is not easy. There we go. If you look at it from this perspective, doesn't this not look bullish to you guys? At least to me it does. It just looks like just an upward slope. Just the most simple plain Jane thing I've ever seen. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that if you're asking me honestly. Then some other bullish statement that I just saw. XRP addresses holding 10 to 1 million coins hits a new all-time high. And most of the time when this happens, it means there's a lot of new players hopping in. Yet it's always so difficult to assume because it could also just be one spammer being a person with ill intent, who just goes on and opens, for example, 10 million accounts with, for example, 20 XRP in each. Just a ton of them, and just doing that. I mean, it would look like the amount of addresses are way up, that there's a lot of people coming in, yet it could just be one person, if you guys get what I'm trying to say there. Because it just says the number of addresses, but you really don't know how many people own those addresses. How we mostly do that is just by looking at the interest in XRP, for example, and how that has changed relatively. Because, well, if Google searches are exactly the same as a couple of weeks before, or even down lower, it's quite strange to assume that there's a ton of people who all of a sudden have hopped in, all right? It most likely means there's some bigger guys here switching over their money. Or I guess if Google Trends or stuff like that has gone up a little bit over time right now, the last couple of months, it could also be that now, because we're just after the election and stuff like that, and the heavy stuff, the big pressure has kind of been, I guess, taken away within the last couple of days from that just now. That finally there's some room for the media to showcase it, and all of a sudden retail interest in crypto is a lot heavier. But that's like a 50-50, right? Because we don't know exactly what's doing all of this, and we don't know exactly which one is doing what right now. What we do know, though, is that it does look a lot like 2017. It does look like there's a lot of new players coming in, and it does look like what I've just said, that it's like, wait, let's look at it here. It's like, first there was just a heavy amount of institutional investment, especially till about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. And now that the election is kind of, I guess, the start of it is over, and the full media coverage, because I mean the 3rd to the 7th, it was just on my TV 24/7. Right now it's dimmed down, all right? A lot of it is back to CV. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about when I say CV19. Think about it for a second. Or maybe even CVS. Maybe you guys will know then. Mostly it's just back to CV, and a lot of it is just the normal stuff, not that much election talk anymore. You know, and maybe that's also allowed for more guys to come on in, talk about crypto, and bring that retail hype back in. But we would have to consult Google Trends to see how that relates, because in terms of prices, we're close to 2017. In terms of retail interest, we're not even close at all. Maybe 15% or so of the way. Capital is flowing into Bitcoin almost at a record pace, on-chain data. Bitcoin has exploded higher over the past few weeks. The coin is up around 50% in the past 5 weeks alone, and capital is flooding into the Bitcoin market almost at a record pace, according to Willy Woo. Woo specifically pointed to the realized price metric, which tracks the estimated cost basis of the average Bitcoin investor. Bitcoin is seeing record inflows almost Willy Woo. So it's kind of like we're almost there, because he's calling it as if there's a lot of organic money coming in, is just a move that was supposed to happen and stuff like that. At the bottom here, when it's inorganic, BTC price is dominated by short-term derivative traders. In this case here is just investors moving in with capital and leaving. That's what they call organic. So it's real money and not necessarily derivatives without real backing potentially. Hopefully you guys get that. It's far from the only good sign, because, well, I think we have a lot of good signs right now as well. But it is something to take into consideration, that a lot of people are hopping in right now, and why? What do they know that others don't? Well, I think they're just starting to realize that the stuff we're talking about here all day is something bigger. You know, they just weren't into it before, but right now they've searched it up and they don't trust their government possibly as much, or they want to be part of the new world. And I've thought about selling a couple of times, right? Because we're so high again, we're close to all-time high, that I'm like, maybe we should let go of some coins at least. And then I think about it again, and I think and think and think, and I'm thinking, no, where we're going is so far up. It is unimaginable where we're going to be heading. So if I sell my coins now, I'll be the same guy who sold at 600, who's like, well, yeah, I've made a lot of ROI, so I'm going to sell it all. I don't want to be that guy. So I'm just going to hold through. Same for XRP, same for all these other coins. And the only downside and the kind of the turning point is that Bitcoin is already at 16,000, where it's basically, at least to me, it's just 25% away from all-time high. But I mean, you can sometimes get 25% in one day with a good altcoin. So 25% I think is kind of negligible. What's the word for it? I don't know. So it basically feels like all-time high for Bitcoin. Not for altcoins, but for Bitcoin. So I mean, if we were to cash it out right now, it would kind of be the same as a couple years ago. The only thing is, now I feel way stronger that this is just the start, and I don't want to be that guy. I'm like, maybe there's a chance we'll never get cheaper coins. Maybe. Can I take that risk? Can I? I mean, we could go back down to $5,000 per Bitcoin. We could, but do I want to take that risk of switching or leaving my position to then maybe buy back at about 20,000? Do I want to be that guy? I don't know if I can. All right, I don't know if I can, and that's why I'm holding strong still, and I'm hoping for some crazy days to come here, or a heavy downfall. But as of this point here, I'm thinking that this is the big run. It really looks a lot like it. It doesn't look like we're falling back down to the ground. So I'm rooting, but let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about the situation, and also make sure you go ahead and follow the Growth Masters Academy. Do it right now. Go check it out, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video.